Good afternoon, and thank you for taking your time to review my action research project. My name is Luke Gagner, and this is my research project for my master's in ed leadership. My project was on teacher retention at SLAM. Teacher retention has become a major concern in many schools because teachers leave frequently. It affects students, staff morale, and overall school culture. The goal of this project was to better understand what caused the teacher to leave and how we can improve the teacher retention here. This study focuses on teacher retention and the factors that influence teachers' decision to remain in their position. Teacher turnovers can disrupt student learning, create instability in classroom, and place other pressure on school leadership to continuously recruit and train new staff. The purpose of this research was to collect feedback and data from teachers in identifying key factors that influence their satisfaction and commitment to the school. Before we jump into the data, a quick background, right? So the problem that guided my research is because here it's my fourth year at SLAM Miami, and the fact that every single year during pre-service in August, I see a lot of new faces. So it kind of gathered my attention to see what is the reason behind that turnover rate. Okay. When experienced teacher leave, students lose consistency in instruction and relationship with educators. School also spend many time resources hiring and training staff with pre-services and whatnot. Understanding the cause of teachers turnover is important for creating strategies that support teachers and improve school stability. For example, as a department lead for the middle school social studies, this year I have two new teachers. Their first year teacher as well too. That means in the sense that maybe next year they stay as a teacher or they would not. So to be able to understand that whole point, that was my point for the topic. The main goal of this research was to better understand why teachers stay or leave at the school. The project is to identify key factors that influence teacher satisfaction and determine what challenges could improve their retention. By taking into consideration their feedbacks and school data, this study helped me to provide practical recommendations that school leaders can use to create a more supportive work environment. The research was based on three pretty simple questions, right? It says here, first, what is the key factor retention at school? Second, how do leadership practices affect satisfaction and retention? And third, what strategies could be implemented to improve teacher support and reduce turnovers? This question helped me guide the data collection and analysis processes here. Why is that study important? It says the study is important because zero change has a direct impact not only on student but also overall the school grades and also here the environment. When teachers feel supported and remain at a school for a longer period of time, student benefits from stronger relationship and consistent instruction. In addition, school with stable staff often develop stronger professional communities and more positive school cultures. Also here, when teachers work for the longest together, they have a more camaraderie. That means here they or have friends at the school that help them wanting to come to work and be having a more friendly zone compared to, hey, is a new teacher, I don't know how to approach them and whatnot. To conduct this research, I use a action research project, right? The trilogy, right? That means here the three factors, right? Action research allows educators to study issues within their own school and develop solutions based on real data and experiences. The participants in this study were teachers from the school who agreed voluntarily to share their feedback through surveys and interview. The surveys were more anonymous compared to for the interviews where I was trying to look for the theme of that survey here. The three main types of data were collected for this study. First, teacher completed an anonymous survey that asks about their experiences, satisfaction level, and factors that influence the decision to stay or leave. Second, the interviews were conducted with teachers to gather more detail insight about their experiences here. Finally, the school data related to each turnover was reviewed to identify retention trends. So after I was able to collect the data, I was able to see here the pattern or the ideas. First, the survey responses were analyzed to identify different trends in perception of leadership. Interview responses were reviewed multiple times to identify common themes. I also compared the finding from the surveys and interviews in school data to ensure that the results were consistent across multiple sources. I didn't did with all the three. Um, I had a 15, I had a 15 teacher sample to go over the data where I was able to find the different aspect about it. So from the data, what I was able to find is the fact that several important themes came across the data, right? One of the most common theme was the importance of administrative support. People, the teachers feel like, yes, they were supported, but not enough from administration. They feel like there was a lack of communication or how admin were not talking with them directly. Teachers pray that super leadership and clear guidance are important factors in their job satisfaction. That means here they felt like in a sense that if admin, especially with the testing, that admin could have been more clearer on what were their expectation and what not. Communication between teachers and leadership also appear as a key factor in the fact that they feel like it was not an easy or a transparent communication that happened as well. Also, they felt that they were a bit like feel left out in the overall decision of the school. Teachers want to feel heard and included different staff as well too. Salary and compensation were also mentioned as a key factor influencing education here. As you guys know, life is getting more expensive in South Florida. And also South Florida is one, or the state of Florida is one of the lowest paying state among all 50 states for education. So if the teachers feel like they're not getting enough money, they want to change vocation and go for another type of job to help them here. Also, another thing that was brought up, also the fact here, the room for improvement. At the end of the day, not every teachers want to send teachers. Certain teachers want to go the admin route and become, for example, a department lead, a lead teacher, an AP, or principal down the line. But sometimes they feel like because whenever it is for education, whenever you're established at a school, it's not easy to do the transition from a teacher to lead teacher or department and whatnot. The result of this research suggests that leadership practice play an important role in teacher retention. Schools that create an environment encourage open communication and provide opportunities for professional growth are more likely to retain teachers. Addressing these factors can help improve teacher satisfaction and create a more stable environment. So at the end of the day, with the teacher retention problem, that doesn't only happen at SLAM. For example, in the state of Florida, they had tried to make it easier to become a teacher with all the requirements, and they tend to waive certain requirements. So they're trying to gain more teachers or the experienced teachers not to leave the job, but it's not an easy task. Excuse me. During the project, different questions were I came to ask myself: how can the school improve communication? Right? What type of mentorship program or leadership program can a school have with their teachers? Because at the end of the day, it is easier to have a teacher for three to 4 years that you invest in them, and then compared to every single year you need to invest in a new teacher. Because in an example for my department, this is my fourth year at SLAM. Every single year, besides myself, we have a new civics teacher. In 4 years, we have 4 different civics teachers. So at the end of the day, how can we change that? How can we improve with the teacher retention? I do believe, based on those findings, I think the best thing I can do with my school is try to share those ideas, the finding about teacher retention, what was said and whatnot. I know the sample was only 15 teachers out of the majors that we have at school, but I do believe that in a sense, those 15 teachers speak for the majority of the school because it's in the same trend overall. Okay. One preferred goal that emerged from this research is the importance of using teacher feedback to guide leadership decision. I do believe sometimes, like in the school system, they might ask for teachers' feedback and then they don't even take it into consideration. I think the best thing to do is not only to ask for feedback, but to actually take the feedback and look into it and say, hey, what can and cannot be do? Because at the end of the day, yes, we're here to help the students to form the future of the world of the United States of America. But at the end of the day, if we have no teacher to teach them, to help them, to guide them, to become not only the subject that we're teaching, but becoming a better version of yourself, a better person, then it would not be valid, because a student spend most of the days at school. They spend more time at school compared to at home during the week. So it's not only our duty to teach the subject, but also to form them as a better person. It was a pleasure to do this project, this research project. I think it's one of the most important topic that happens here, not only in South Florida, but I think in education as overall. Teacher retention, it is an important topic. I do believe in the fact that we want to have experienced teachers. We don't want the experienced teachers leave and then go to different route, different career field. I do believe we can make a change on that with different incentive, different salary, compensation, more opportunity to grow and whatnot. Thank you for joining my research project. Thank you again.